Are you tired of not making progress? Do you feel like you've been putting a lot of effort in many areas for a very long time and yet you're not seeing results? Well, stick around to understand where people typically make one huge mistake that you can actually fix fairly easily. In this video, we'll have a look at the typical approach to productivity, what's generally kind of wrong with that, and how you can actually correct it to make huge improvements and overcome some of the obstacles that you're facing. Generally speaking, when we look at productivity, we tend to be very operational. What I mean by that is that things get thrown at us and we have a to-do list to complete. If you're able to tick those boxes at the same speed they come in or faster, then you're good. But if you tick them slower, which tends to unfortunately be the case, then you soon get overwhelmed. As a result of that, what we try to find are ways to accelerate, ways to tick those boxes faster, ways to do more today than we did yesterday. To do that, we typically learn to block distractions, stop multitasking, get into the flow faster than we used to do, or maybe use Pomodoro techniques, and I've done all of that myself. Although these are essential, there are all ways to be more efficient in the moment. They are all answers to questions such as, I'm going to write a report right now, how can I do that faster or better than I did last time? I'm going to read a book right now, how can I read it faster and retain more information? I'm going to take 1 hour to practice the guitar, how can I make the most out of it? These are all very valid questions and interests, and these are actually great skills to learn. Personally, I've spent years asking these questions for myself and will very likely dedicate some future videos to these topics. But, and that's a huge one, can you guess what's missing there? What is absolutely not addressed by all these techniques that actually needs to be addressed? Probably before anything else. In the last few years, I've multiplied my reading speed by 10 and I greatly improved my concentration. But I still have too much to do. How's that possible? Well, that's possible because with all these techniques, we're not addressing the root cause of the problem. You can read twice as fast, but you still have hundreds of thousands of books on your reading list. You can reply to email faster, but still receive hundreds of emails per day. You can concentrate better, but still have enough work for 2, 3 or more people. Something that Oliver Burkeman explains in his book 4,000 Weeks is that there's actually some kind of productivity trap, as if you manage to do more, you will actually get more to do as a result. For argument's sake, let's say that you're crazy fast and manage to answer all of your emails this morning. Then what's going to happen? People will reply this afternoon and you'll be back to square one. What's missing from the typical approach to productivity is that no matter how fast or how good we are at any given activity, we still have the same number of hours in any given day. That's our biggest limitation, and there's actually no way around that. And I'm sorry to say that, and it can be hard to actually accept, but you can try to reduce your sleep time, but even if you manage to do this and maintain your ability to think, you'd still be left with a very limited number of hours per day. So what's wrong with this approach? Learning to be more efficient is basically learning to do the same thing using less resources. In this case, the main resource that we're using is time, and we learn to do the same thing or even do a better job, but faster. The problem with that is that we're reducing the constraint, but we still have a very limited amount of time. It's like being on a boat with several holes in it and thinking, well, I better learn to scoop faster. Yes, you can. Yes, it will or it might help a little, but it's not really going to be a long-term solution. And you're probably better off plugging some of the holes first and then putting your effort and scooping the water that comes through the other holes. That's the key. Plug the holes. Then you can scoop faster if you want, but plug the holes first. In other words, choose what is worthy of your time, what you really absolutely have or want to spend time on, and eliminate the rest. But I see your question coming. How can we go about this? And how much should we limit things? Well, how many balls you can juggle will actually depend on you, the size of the balls, and you'll probably be able to judge your own capacity better than I am. However, there's a rule of thumb I applied that I took from Tiago Forte, author of Building a Second Brain and the PARA method. He explains that he typically recommends to have 10 to 12 projects as a maximum at any given time. Projects are things that you are working on with a deadline and a goal in mind, and projects need to be reasonable to handle. To give you an example, for me, preparing a 10 to 15 minutes video like this one qualifies as a project. It's going to require a few hours of work, probably 10 to 20 hours per video, but I can do that with a clear time frame and clear goals in mind. However, if I decided to prepare a 2 or 3 hour long documentary, needing extensive research, needing to interview tens of people, that would need to be broken down into different projects. Maybe one project per interview or one per topic that I need to research, with an overarching goal to make the documentary. But the documentary itself could not be a single project. It's a sum of different projects. If you play an instrument as a beginner, learning the 10 to 20 most common chords could be a project. As an advanced player, maybe learning a given song could be a project. And if you're a professional, I have no idea. Maybe writing a song or recording it would be manageable. But my guess is that even at that level, writing an album would be way too big to qualify as a project. So let's say 10 to 12 projects, to which you'll automatically see added work from what Tiago calls areas, that are long-term recurring responsibilities and obligations with no deadlines. For example, administrative stuff, handling your finances, taking care of your family, etc., etc. All of these are areas. I typically do the grocery shopping and cook food for my kids every single day. However, that doesn't qualify as a project unless I'm organizing a massive birthday party that needs to be managed separately. So 10 to 12 projects related to the various interests and obligations we might have, it can actually get out of hand pretty quickly. I would, at this point of the video, encourage you to grab a pen and a piece of paper. I'll list mine and you'll list yours. Come on, take a pen and paper and work through that with me. Well, projects can cover a very wide array of interests and obligations, starting maybe with the most obvious, let's say it, work, family, friends and home, health and fitness, sports, and you might actually be practicing several of them, music if you play an instrument, content creation in my case, food, cooking, crafts and manual activities, and so on. I'm sure you can actually find more of these for yourself that I might not have thought of. Now, let's have a look at this list together, and I insist on that. Let's be very reasonable to see how things can snowball and get out of hands. At work, you can easily be working on, let's say, 6 to 8 projects at the same time. Let's settle on 7. With family, personal life and home, let's say you're planning a trip with the family, a cool activity or a birthday party, and you're also doing some work or redecorating your home. Let's settle on 3 additional projects, at least. Health and fitness, it's also pretty common to want to make progress on different things, between losing some fat, gaining muscle, gaining weight for some, go for walks, work on mental health, meditating, etc., etc. Let's be conservative and put an additional 2 projects on that. Sports can probably add 1 to 2 projects. And for the sake of argument, let's put only 1 project for each of the remaining categories. That gets us to a grand total of 18 projects, which is roughly 50% more than the 10 to 12 projects we can actually juggle at any given point in time. And remember, that was being very reasonable. What tends to happen is that without even realizing it, we spread ourselves too thin. And wanting to do everything, we end up not making progress on anything. You've probably guessed it by now, but what we need to do is actually reduce the number of projects we commit to. If you don't want to use the idea of projects, we need to reduce the number of things we try to do at any given point in time. And yes, that means that we'll have to put some of our ambitions and goals aside to actually better serve others' ambitions and goals that we have. This selection might change over time as we complete projects. We might change focus in 6 months or a year, for example, but right now, there's no way around that. Some of our interests will want or have to maintain, some will reduce, and some will actually have to eliminate. Either eliminate completely or for now, or if you can, potentially delegate. There is no right or wrong answer here. But to give you my example, work stays the same, about 7. Family, friends and home gets to 3. Health and fitness gets 1 project. I eliminate sports, which for now only serves health and fitness purposes, but no performance or competition goals, although I'd probably get back to that at some point in the future. But for now, sports is down and only serves health and fitness. Music, the guitar, and the ukulele you can see on the back are now purely decorative. They've stayed untouched for a long time now. Will I come back to them one day? Maybe, but for now, it's an interest I've given up. Content creation, this channel, I'm taking it 1 project at the time only. Food and cooking, maybe once a month or every 2 months. Not right now at this specific point in time. It will have to wait until other projects actually get completed. Crafts and manual activities, it's actually never been a huge interest of mine, so I've completely eliminated that for now. So that leaves me with active projects in the following departments: work, family, health and fitness, content creation, for a total of 11 projects. Depending on the size of these projects, I could either add or eliminate 1, staying between 10 and 12 at any given point in time. The main difficulty here is to accept that we have to choose and consciously select what we'll spend time on, and yes, what we won't spend time on, at least for now. Imagine that each project is a plant that you want to see grow, and your time can be represented by a bucket of water. If you try to water too many plants at the same time, none of these will grow. But if you select only some of them and give them all your attention, all your love and water, they will flourish. While these plants grow, we can actually keep the seeds somewhere else, and we'll grow these plants as well someday, but not right now. So make a list, a comprehensive one, with all of your projects, and then select and ask yourself, which one of these don't I really care about or do just because I feel like I have to, I feel obligated, but could actually easily drop them. These are generally fairly easy to spot. Then ask yourself, which ones could you delay? Could you do later or do someday? And put them on standby. Now, have a hard look at what's left. If you have less than you can handle, great, you're done. If you have more than that, start selecting the ones that you absolutely can't move or wouldn't move even with a gun to your head. These are probably not more than a handful. Now, look at the remaining projects. Which ones can you or do you want to add and handle right now? Which ones will have to wait just a little bit? Remember, you're not getting rid of them. What you're doing is that you're putting them on hold for now so that you can concentrate on the others, get better results. You're saving water now to be able to give them the water they need later. Now, you should be left with a reasonable list, one you can handle right now, make progress on, and one that will allow you to make more progress in the future, to keep your focus and limit the number of things you try to do at once. Today, we have seen what fails in the typical productivity approach. Being able to do things faster or more efficiently is great, but it's only one side of the equation. The other side is carefully and purposefully choosing what we will do so that we can dedicate enough care and attention to the things that are important so that they will grow well. I hope you like this video. Please comment, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget, it's okay to face challenges. We all do. Let's keep making progress together, and see you next week.